Welcome to another episode of the Burg Podcast, where we talk about all things Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Also known as the Hub City or just the Burg, Hattiesburg is a bustling town in southern Mississippi. It's an educational, cultural, business, and medical hub for the region, and we're pleased to share stories from our community.
Today on the Burg Podcast, we have reports from 3 individuals who are experiencing all that Southern Miss has to offer in many different ways. First up, we have Raven Payne in her interview with Tangi Carter.
I am Raven Payne for the Burg Podcast. Today I'm interviewing
Tangi Carter.
as part of getting to know interesting people here on campus or in Hattiesburg. My guest, Miss Tangi Carter, is part of many organizations on campus. She is originated from Terry, Mississippi, now lives in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. She works as a university instructor and assistant director of recruitment, selection, and training for the Department of Housing and Residential Life at Southern Miss. She graduated from Terry High School in 2004, earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science in 2008, followed by her Master of Science degree in Political Science in 2010, both from the University of Southern Mississippi. Ms. Tangi Carter is actively involved in Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated since 2010 and the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs since 2011. She has served as the Young Adult Club Campus Advisor at the University of Southern Mississippi for 12 years, organizing induction ceremonies, attending conventions, and receiving multiple advisor-related awards. Additionally, she has obtained various certifications to enhance her advising skills. Hello, Miss Tangi.
Hi, Raven.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about your journey to becoming an RA? Not RA, an advisor.
Well, I did not expect it or ask for it at all. I actually started work here at Southern Miss in 2011, and probably within a month or two of me being employed here, a former student of mine, student worker, when I was in grad school, she found out I was employed here. She was serving at the time as the president for Ideal Women, and they needed a campus advisor. And so she was a great student. I talked to her about what the organization consisted of, what it was about, some history. I really liked what I heard. And then from there, I became their advisor fall of 2011, and I've been doing it since then. I've also advised a couple of other organizations, but my passion is with this one. And with me being their campus advisor, I'm required to be a part of the National Association as well. So I fell in love with that, the history of it, anything that screams Black history, Black excellence, I'm all about it. So I found myself really focusing on that, and so I chose to only advise Ideal Women.
What would be like your biggest challenge you ever faced as being an advisor for Ideal Women?
There are many. I will say one of my biggest challenges is finding the time to want to do it all. Because of course I work here full time, and I wear a lot of hats within that position. And so with me advising Ideal Women, that's not affiliated with my career job here at Southern Miss at all. So that's something that's voluntary, and I love it. But often the time that I pour into it is evenings, weekends. Sometimes it can be days if we have like a state convention or a regional convention where we have to travel. So I would say the time, if I could have more time in the day and more time in the week, that would alleviate one of my biggest challenges as being an advisor.
Can you name, as I mentioned, some awards? Can you name a few that you approve of you as being an advisor?
I will say the most recent award I received, and I was not expecting it, and I was really emotional about it. And I'm emotional, but not like that emotional. But we had our state convention in November. It's always in November. So that just passed a few months ago, and I was awarded the Outstanding Woman of the Year for this region of our state. And so Ideal Women, as mentioned already, it's a collegiate group of a national association. But in the middle of that, we have adult sponsoring chapters. So I'm a part of that adult sponsoring chapter, and I'm kind of the liaison between them and Ideal, where I'm here with Ideal and I can take back to meetings with them what they're doing here on campus. And sometimes they assist financially, sometimes they come and support the events as well, but they just want to be in the loop. And so my club in Prentice, Mississippi, the adult sponsoring club, nominated me to be the Woman of the Year. And there were 6 across the entire state of Mississippi of these colored women's clubs in Mississippi. And I was chosen as one of the 6. And this organization was started in 1896. So and it was started by pioneer women, Madam C.J. Walker, Harriet Tubman, great profound African American women as such. And so for me to win like a state level award, I'm like, it's just a little old me, And these are like women, that are more seasoned in life. And so for me to be one of the younger ones in one of these adult clubs, I was just honored and appreciative. And they definitely just, were very appreciative of all the hard work and time I put into advising Ideal Women. At that point, it'd been 12 years, and we're heading into 13. And I just couldn't believe I received the award, but I got it, and I was thankful for it.
That is a true blessing.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what inspired the creation of Ideal Women?
Yes. Actually, the adult club that I just talked about, a student here at Southern Miss was the granddaughter of a lady in that club. And they learned that the National Association was starting collegiate clubs. And so she was like, I want to start here one at Southern Miss. And so Nationals did the chartering, and our state was in full support of them, and they were started. It was, I believe, 4 of them, and they started it in 2003. And so we're coming upon 21 years of active service here, and we're the only collegiate club in the state of Mississippi, and there are about 20 something across the nation collegiate groups.
How does the organization foster networking and mentorship opportunities for women?
So as far as networking, we do a lot of collaborating across campus. So you can network across campus. But then as far as community service, we reach out to local schools and see what they need. And if it's bringing supplies, or if it's reading books, or if we've washed school buses before. We did a bus wash, not a car wash, but a bus wash. And it was exciting. We do pantries across the community. We've done homeless shelters, women's shelters. So we do a lot of collaboration on and off campus. As far as mentoring, we do take opportunities when we go to schools. We've also discussed actually adopting a school so that we could do like weekly or monthly visits, and not just once or twice a year where we do things. And I definitely do something like an onboarding mentorship. So we have like exec members that are graduating. We go ahead and have elections, and I make sure that the outgoing person gets with the incoming, and they just talk about, challenges, how to overcome this, how to handle this in whatever position. Most recently, this happened with our treasurer position. And that young lady, Kirsten, she graduated. And Breon is taking that position, and they talked and met up a lot to just discuss how this position works well. So mentorship on a few different levels, and of course I try to do it as much as I can, or as much as it's needed. I mean, it's a women's organization, so we have girl drama. I just dealt with some last week. I deal with it maybe once every other month, so it happens. And I just do my best to make everybody feel loved and appreciated, but making sure they understand that respect is a must.
How does Ideal Women differentiate itself with other women organizations on campus like WA or Queens of Lifted?
I would say, I know for a fact I could say that we're different because we have a different caliber of history. Just us being a part of the oldest African American women's secular organization in the nation. That alone, that makes us a little bit more outstanding. In my, I'm biased, so I'm gonna say we're the best. But all the women's groups here are doing great work. I would say that we have like official ceremonies when we're inducting members, and different regional and state level people come and assist us with that process. And you really have like a lifelong membership to something, or at least an association. So when you graduate from your undergrad institution, wherever the collegiate group is, you can find a local adult club in wherever area you're moving to and join it, so that you can continue your official membership with the National Association of Colored Women's Club. So it's not something that just stops in college, and it's not just a campus organization. It's way bigger than that. And like the saying, we're living our ancestors' wildest dream, we are literally doing that. When we have people such as the pioneers that I mentioned earlier, that started this organization, they definitely wanted this for young women, but for it to actually be happening, that definitely makes us different than others.
Can you share a memorable success day or a moment in Ideal?
Let's see. Memorable. I think a memorable time was maybe 2 years ago when we brought in a little bit over 30 girls. That was great because just like other campus organizations, we suffered after COVID. And so for about a year and a half, we couldn't bring in new members, but of course people are continuously graduating, which that's the goal. And so we had gotten down to like 8 or 9 members, and our membership typically fluctuates between 25 and 35. And so to get down that low, we figured it would take us a couple years to get it back, but it didn't. It was that one time, and it was just exciting to know that girls really wanted to be a part of Ideal. They see what we do, and they waited. They waited, and they were ready when we said we're doing it. And I think that was memorable because we were definitely a part of the PR and the mail outs that go out to all of the members across the nation. We were all in there. And so that was exciting. I could say that was very memorable.
Since you talked about Ideal, about their history and everything else, can you provide an overview of your organization mission and possible goals?
Well, our mission is to definitely appreciate, embellish Black women and Black excellence. And our motto, it speaks lifting as we climb. And so that basically means as we do good, as we do well, as we go places, we bring other Black women with us. And so that's the goal. That's the overall goal of the organization as well. Like I said, the organization has been official since 1896. And so that's a very long time for it to still be going. But that can only happen if we continue to bring in more women to continue the greatness of NACWC. And so that's what I like about the mission. Like even in our adult club, we have girl drama or women drama because we like grown women. But at the end of the day, if somebody needs something, we coming. If something going on, what you need, what can I do? And so I love it that end all be all, they're still going to be your federated sisters. Like that's what we're known as. We're a federation. And so they really come through, and that's what I really love about the organization. I can disagree with you on this, and you can get on my nerves at 2 o'clock, but if you call me at 3:30 and say you need something, I'm coming. I love that. So I can say that.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Miss Tangi Carr, for informing us about your advisor life and being a part of Ideal Women.
Yes, ma'am, you're very welcome, and thank you for having me.
This is Raven Payne for the Burg Podcast. I'll see you later.
Our second feature on the episode is Greta Graves' essay on her experience studying abroad on the Southern Miss British Studies program.
It's been about a year since I decided I wanted to study abroad. Going to another country for school was never something that really even crossed my mind as a possibility until about 6 months before it actually happened. It took a lot of hard work and a leap of faith, but spending a month studying in London was the best decision I have ever made. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. How did this story start, and why was this trip so impactful for me? I first heard about my university's England-based summer abroad program in my junior year of college. At the time, I really had no expectations of going, but it was still interesting. I attended an interest meeting and learned a little bit about the program, more out of curiosity than anything. It seemed too expensive and honestly just too impossible, but what was I going to lose by trying, right? I was nervous. I didn't grow up with a lot of money, and this would easily be the biggest purchase of my life thus far, aside from my university tuition costs. I told myself that if I didn't end up going, it wouldn't be for a lack of trying, but probably a lack of money. After months of fundraising, scholarship applications, and extra hours at work, my goal started to seem almost possible. So why was I now more anxious than ever before? It didn't really sink in until about a week before I left for London. My anxiety was never really about the cost of the trip. I was homeschooled my entire life, and I mean really homeschooled. From kindergarten until the end of high school, it was just me and my brother poring over textbooks and paper exams in our kitchen. I'm very grateful for the education my parents worked hard to provide, but, like anything, it was never a perfect situation. I started college at 15 years old. While I had been given every opportunity to succeed academically, thanks to having 2 teachers for parents, I quickly found out that I had not adjusted to life the same way my peers had. My first ever classmates were about 5 years older than I was. I kept to myself and didn't spend much of my early years socializing, but needless to say, I was a little bit stunted. Nothing that left me so far out of the loop that I couldn't recover, but it was noticeable. I always knew this in the back of my head. I saw people that were older than me in the position of a peer and couldn't help but compare myself. My confidence certainly took a hit, and I slowly developed the impression that I just wasn't as capable as everyone else. I didn't consider the fact that I was just a kid. I wasn't supposed to be so mature yet, because in my eyes, everyone around me was so grown up, so why couldn't I be too? I couldn't shake the deepening imposter syndrome. I felt like a little kid playing dress-up in her mother's clothes. I felt so small and immature. Now, this feeling definitely lessened over the years, but it didn't fully leave me. The fear that everyone would wake up and feel about me the way that I had felt about myself, it followed me around like a second shadow. I grew older. I looked older. But I still felt so young, all the time. Like I was still 15 and terrified in my college algebra class, just waiting for someone to notice the little kid in the seat next to them. That shadow, it boarded the plane to London with me, but I think it only had a one-way ticket. I spent 4 weeks last summer living alone in a new country. I, of course, had my classmates and professor nearby, but in my head it was just me. Me and my shadow. My shadow that had told me before the trip that I wasn't going to make it. That in less than a week I'd be dropping out of the program and just begging to go home. But surprisingly, after touching down in London, the shadow was pretty quiet. There was barely an adjustment period. While I was homesick from time to time, it was like the second I had survived TSA after landing in England, I knew somehow I was going to be okay. I left America as a 19-year-old girl who felt about 4 years younger. But when we arrived in the UK, I looked in the mirror of the airport bathroom, and suddenly, for the first time ever, I saw a woman in the reflection. I don't know why it all hit me so fast, and I was honestly expecting my confidence to leave me pretty quickly, but it never really did. I spent my 4 weeks in London learning and growing more than I had ever done in 1 month of my whole life. My emotional growth spurt, as I call it, was barely even accompanied by the expecting growing pains. I even spent a weekend break with a classmate in Paris, a trip we planned and experienced completely on our own. My time studying abroad taught me so much more than just the class material. It genuinely was one of those surreal experiences that seem to only happen in the movies. I grew about 10 feet taller in that month. Not literally, of course, but it certainly felt like it in my head. It really was one of the most important cornerstones of my life so far. I learned just how strong and capable of a person I really am. I learned that I'm not a kid, and I'm definitely not that shadow, and that all of my accomplishments and maturity, they're real, and they were earned through my strength and determination. I can look back on the photos of my time in London, and now all I see is me. No fear, no little kid playing dress-up, no lingering shadow. Everything I did in London, I did it. On the outside, that experience may just seem like a vacation, but to me, it was everything. I can't explain the internal struggle that comes with this kind of cognitive dissonance that I had felt for so long. I can't explain what it's like to be the youngest person in every room and constantly be reminded that you shouldn't be there. All I know is that something in me shifted after my time studying abroad. I came back to America and suddenly I could look my peers in the eye. Suddenly I wasn't treated like the friend group pet because, I no longer treated myself like that. Anytime I look in a mirror, I'm reminded of the time that I did in that airport bathroom, and I remember the instance that I finally started to trust and respect myself. When I look in the mirror, I don't see a little kid anymore. I see myself. I see a woman. I see everything I've done to get where I am. I see my experiences and my hard work, my failures and my comebacks. I see who I really am. Nowadays, when I look in the mirror, all I see is my 20-year-old self about to graduate college, with no second shadow behind me and the entire world ahead of me. This is Greta Graves with the Burg Podcast.
For our last segment, Michaela Gudali speaks on her experiences at USM as an international student from Italy. Michaela Williams has this report.
Born and raised in a small village of 500 people, Michaela Gudali was not a fan of the traditional culture and mindsets of the people there. It wasn't until she took a class in high school and began learning English where Gudali felt prompted to move away from Italy.
So I started learning English, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it here and just move somewhere else because it was just not working. People were so close-minded that I said, I don't want to get stuck here. Like, that was my fear, so I just wanted to leave.
She is from a very religious town where almost everyone is Catholic and older in age. Not many young people stay there. They all either move to other places in Europe or gravitate to somewhere in the U.S. Upon arriving in the United States in 2020, Gudali had her study abroad experience in San Antonio, Texas, where she went to community college. In the South, everyone has different accents and dialects. She says that this was one of her challenges, trying to understand the Texas accent. Another challenge she faced was enrolling in classes.
Navigating how to get enrolled in classes, how to figure out your schedule, plan your classes, talk to the professors. It was all new, and I didn't have any mentor that was helping me with that.
After her stay in Texas, her next U.S. destination was Mississippi, Hattiesburg to be exact, where her boyfriend told her about the international student body and resources she could receive if she came to USM. In 2021, she officially enrolled in classes at USM. The International Student Scholar Services Office and the Center for Student Success played a very big part in helping her adapt to college life in Mississippi. She is very grateful for her experiences here so far.
I love it here. I mean, I've had a great time, great experiences, and it's easy for younger people to find great opportunities and kind of just find a job and grow, get experience back home. You can't do that.
Gudali says her ultimate goal is to stay in the U.S. but travel whenever she has the time. She does eventually want to visit Europe, but not stay.
I'm Michaela Williams for the Burg Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Burg Podcast. This podcast is totally produced by students in Dr. Dave Davies' MCJ 344 podcasting class in the School of Media and Communication at the University of Southern Mississippi. Producers for this episode are Madison Calkins, Sydney Stokes, Michaela Williams, and Denari Washington. Music from Upbeat. See the link in our About page for more information. Cover artwork by Madison Calkins and Greta Graves.